So just a quick review of Midsommar. I've watched a number of reviews on it. I think they're pretty bad, kind of missing the point. I saw this movie as a comedy. I thought it was hilarious. From the obvious things like when they're making him our protagonist try to impregnate this girl, her one of the older women comes behind him and starts pushing, to subtler things like their Swedish foreign exchange student friend is walking by this banner with a painting on it. He says, it's kind of a love story, when it's clearly like this really graphic and very strange painting. It's just kind of funny. And then in this big open hall space where everyone's sleeping every night, there's a baby that's crying every night, just wailing like all night. And so Danny has to borrow was it Kevin's sleeping pills every night. And then some of the characters are just spastic and funny, like Mark. And there's moments like Odin or whoever who's staring angry across at them, and they're sitting there. It's just awkward. And another part that I thought was hilarious was the whole rivalry that was set up in the middle of the movie between the two guys who uh, Kevin, who's researching medieval cult Scandinavian rituals, well, not cult rituals, pagan rituals, and the bear guy. It's like the thing about comedy is comics, comedians and comedy. You're always trying to build tension, and then you release it, and when it's released, everyone gets a laugh. And oftentimes in a horror movie, what they do is basically make the people really unaware and stupid, and then the audience is feeling a frustration because we're aware of something they're not aware of, like the man with the knife lurking around the corner, and they're always straying from the group, and it's the same thing over and over again. It's very simplistic and frustrating is how it feels. But this movie, what it did is it really did an interesting job. Each one of the two guys are presenting arguments back and forth about why they should be able to do their dissertation on this cult in Sweden. And it because it's so intelligently presented and persuasive, it brings us along into their kind of release of tension while all this tension's building outside of them with all the creepy stuff that doesn't add up that they're not paying attention to, like the guy from London disappearing and his eventually Mark going off with that girl into the woods, but we don't see him. But they're not really focused on that because we're thinking about who has the better argument for why they should be able to do their dissertation. And they go and they're talking to them and like, okay, yeah, I'll check with the elders. And so I thought that whole dynamic was just hilarious, where they're just so self-involved, and it also felt very realistic. Felt very real, like how they're each coming up with their own thing. So that was funny, and then it had little subtle touches like Danny's flower when she's the maid queen. She's been made the maid queen, and she's still very intoxicated. The flower is blinking at you, and how they had Danny make a really big frown. She was so sad when she was when she was feeling abandoned and upset, and she went off on her own away from people. And then when she was really mad at her boyfriend, they just started to make her into a kind of a caricature, which was funny. So yeah, it was. I think that was lost. A lot of people saying, "Well, it's not as good as Hereditary," but I haven't seen Hereditary, but I thought it was pretty great. And also the artists and the people they employed to and the effects to recreate a psychedelic experience, that was very persuasive. And if anyone's ever been really inebriated or on a upper like that, then I think they can really relate to how well that was put together, and it's compelling, and it can kind of kick you back in that state of mind, which if you've never done that, then that's a whole kind of dimension to the film that you're not going to be engaged by. It's the difference between like seeing a 2D or a 3D film. A lot of people don't like 3D, but that's another dimension of enjoyment for people. So yeah, I thought it was really well done and hilarious. Obviously, there's some deeper threads and some things that are probably taking a deep cultural beliefs of the Swedish people and kind of just messing with them and making fun of them a little too much, and that might be a bit hurtful. But I'm not Swedish, and so I think if you go on understanding that it's a horror movie with a sense of humor, and that's all it's trying to be, then it's fine. All right, that's it.